On YouTubes.
Okay.
We are live on YouTubes. I'm going to
What's up,
record
YouTube?
this official meeting. I think if I record to my computer, it's a little bit better. I can do a separate audio file of each participant. Maybe I'll do that just in case. No, it's gonna be too hard. No, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Keep it simple.
I'm doing it.
You got it.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
What's up,
What's
y'all?
going,
What's up,
Nats?
YouTube only content?
What's good? I'm almost ready. Do you have the roster up?
I do.
Okay. And you're hosting or me?
I'm hosting.
All right. Host away.
Well, hello, folks, and welcome to We The Peeps. This is the American soccer podcast in which you're going to get to know everything that you need to know about the USMNT WCQ Part 2. I'm Clayton, and I am an artist.
I'm Ty. We both got a haircut. You can only see it on YouTube.
And we love the Nats. Insert here. And insert. Folks, welcome to another Rastapod. It's our Rastapod time. It's a very special Rastapod because we have World Cup qualifiers approaching for the second time. Oh man, It felt like I blinked and they're back. Qualies are back, baby. I feel like we just came off the field after a 4-0 half versus Honduras, and yet there's more to come, and we have to talk about all of it. But first, a little bitty of housekeeping. Guys, you know you can find us on Twitter at WTP Pod. Do that; it's a fun thing to do. We can talk to each other in the form of text. You know you can find us on YouTube as well. We stream the episode recordings. We also stream live during the games. So search us up on YouTube, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you know when we're live-ola. Make sure that you go as well to WTP Pod my apologies to make sure that you go to patreon.com/WTP Pod if you'd like to make this show less of a burden on us financially. It is both in time and money. It's a problem in our lives. So you can help us out with that and make this show more sustainable by joining the Patreon. To anyone who has already done that, thank you so much. You have no idea how meaningful that is to us. And then a quick, very special housekeeping announcement. I am recording from California at the outset of my first vacation in 2 years. Applause all around. I am taking a GD break because I need one. So folks, you're gonna see some special new voices during this camp, and we know you are going to love it. The professor, the oft-mentioned professor, our father, will be joining us for a couple of these live streams. And you know him, you love him, you remember him from We The Peeps. Kwamdas, the Quaminator, will be returning to the WTP feed to bless your ears with his insights, this time about the USMNT. All that and much, much more. I believe that concludes us for the housekeeping, unless I'm forgetting anything, Ty.
Nope. Money, reviews.
Reviews. Hit us with some reviews. We like the reviews. Yeah. Do that, please. All right. And of housekeeping. There's only one way to get this Rastapod started, and that's, of course, by giving all the gloves in the Turnerverse to Matt Turner. First name on the team sheet. Right behind him, we have Sean Johnson and Man City's Zach Steffen. He plays sometimes last year for Man City. Zach Steffen. Defenders, folks, we've got George Bello, L-O, A, under my George Bello, A, love him. George
Love him.
Bello, back with us with those Kanye vibes from Atlanta United Stadium. We've got John Brooks,
Yes.
Serginho Destino from Barcelona, Mark McKenzie, Shaq Moore for some reason. Shaq Moore's with us. We got long-haired, long-beard Tim Ream. Don't care. Why is he here? Tim Ream. Chris Richards from Hoffenheim. Is that move official? Is he a Hoffenheim guy now?
He is still
Chris
on
Richards
loan.
of
He's on
Bayern
perma
Munich,
loan.
Permalone of Bayern Munich fame. Anthony, the Robinson family band. Anthony Robinson and Miles Robinson will be with us, and of course, everyone's favorite homegrown from Seattle, DeAndre Yedlin. Wow, what a beautiful Andre Yedlin. Okay, midfielders, we've got Kellen Acosta, Tyler Adams, welcome back in. Gianluca Busio from Venice. How's them
Baby
Venice
booze.
streets, Boozy? How's them Venice streets, Booze Cruise? Luca De La Torre, he made it on the plane. Sebastian Leggett, too legit to quit. I just cannot quit you, Sebastian. Leggett, Weston McKennie, the best is yet to come from Weston McKennie, trying to work his way back from the doghouse there after letting his teammates and his nation down in the last window. Welcome back. Oh my God, the most kindest person of all time is Mother Teresa. Second most kindest person of all time, surely Eunice Moussa. Third is Gandhi. We've got Eunice Moussa is back with us. He's in my background here on the YouTube stream. And finally, the 10 that we've all been waiting for, Christian Roldan. Okay, forwards. Oh, baby, let's go, Brendan. Ron
Hey,
Swan,
guys.
Swan,
Hey,
Ron
Ron.
Swanson, Ron Swan Song. The nickname that keeps extending. Go Gadget nickname for Brendan. Ron Swan Song.
Swan song.
We've got Paulie Ariola Nips. If it ain't broken, don't fix
Wally Nips.
it. He's back, man. How's that ACL, my G? Matthew Hoppy. Oh, Hoppiness is and always has been the truth. Ricardo Pepe, the 9, and the Mexican-American superstar that we've all been waiting for. Thank God he's back, Tim Weah. And of course, why not? Greggy B's eternal Pookie baby, Giassi Zardes. Ty, you've had this roster for a few days. You've been simmering on it, sitting on it. What are your first impressions?
I'm pretty pleased. There's a couple names I expected to be on here, like Jordan Pafak, who is on fire.
What Pafak is going on with Jordan Pafak not being on this roster?
Scoring a winner against Manchester United in the Champions League, apparently not enough to make the Nats roster.
That's the kind of thing that brings you down in the standing.
Yeah, exactly.
He brought too much attention to himself.
There's also Joe Scally, who's been breaking in with Mönchengladbach, formerly of NYCFC. He's been doing fairly well, though not pulling up any trees. And it just goes to show you that just being good, doing well in Europe is not enough anymore. You have to really excel when you look at the accomplishments of a lot of these guys. For me, I was pretty surprised by Paul Ariola being here. I didn't expect him to get kind of reintegrated in such a high pressure situation, especially because he's not like a vital piece. He's always been kind of just okay. But he's definitely someone who has he knows the program, he knows the landscape, he knows how to fit in, he knows his role. And with the absence of Christian Pulisic, we need to look for some players who can attempt to fill those boots.
Yeah, so super quick, Pulisic and Gio Reyna out for injury.
Yeah, Pulisic and Reyna injured. McKennie, I think perhaps if Gio and Pulisic were fit, we might have been in a position to continue to bench McKennie for character or behavioral reasons. Given those absences, I don't think that we have the margin for error talent-wise. So it makes sense that he's here, even if he will continue to be in the Greggy B's penalty box. He's going to be, everybody else has a nice room on the 10th floor, and he has a room in the basement, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Actually, that might not be a good idea. You might want him in like a higher room, like It's far,
Yeah. You
not
want him in a
close to
very
like the public.
uncomfortable,
Yeah.
containable situation
Yeah.
with something to distract him, some fidget spinners. What does he need?
But yeah, exactly. Chuck him in a closet with some poppets and let him go to town. Anyway, so it's a good
yeah.
roster. It's full of talent as usual. Just the guys who are left off of this roster, like thinking of someone like a Brian Reynolds, for instance, who's not playing very much for Roma, but he's still a important piece of the U.S. picture going forward. And I believe Sargent is not on the roster too, right?
Correct.
Which is a that's
No sergeants.
a great reflection that performances matter, and Sargent came into the last camp and was really bad and is clearly not ready to he needs to focus on getting his club game back up and running, and he's not ready to contribute to the national team program right now. So it's good that Greg kind of noticed that, and seeing the level of talent that we are able to leave at home is very encouraging, because it just goes to show the depth of the U.S. squad and the amount of potential that's here to do well. So I fully expect this team to do well. This is one of those windows where, if you look at the specific games, it's realistic that the U.S. could get 9 points from these games and then be in a really strong position going forward. And I'm hoping that this is the window where the U.S. stamps its authority on qualifying, gets into that first position or second position along with Mexico, gets a little bit of a gap from the rest of the field, and kind of never looks back on the way to qualifying for Qatar.
There we go, baby. Winnable games coming up. We've got Jamaica, Nacho Mama's Jamaica on October 7th. That's a Thursday. Jamaica. We have Panama on Sunday, October 10th. And of course, also Nacho Mama's Costa Rica, Wednesday, October 13th.
Not Jamaica, Costa Rica.
Not Jamaica, South Jamaica. All right, so we've got 3 winnable games, says Ty. Let's say we're back together for our window closing recap episode in a couple weeks here. We're celebrating 3 wins. Let's just live in that hypothetical for a second. Hypothetically speaking, we come out with 3 wins. Ty, what went right for us? What were the key turning points? If we are to come out of this with all the 9 points, all the points, what would have had to have happened?
So what we saw in that unbelievable, sensational second half against Honduras is that if the U.S. sticks to its game plan and works through those early qualifying jitters and keeps the faith that the game plan will actually work, it will yield rewards. So the kind of offensive explosion that we saw against Honduras in that second half is unprecedented for World Cup qualifying as long as I can remember. To go into a tough away game like that and put up a big number in one half is totally unprecedented. So I expect similar unprecedented things to happen if the U.S. is able to actually stick to that game plan.
Yeah.
The reverse question is what happens if things went wrong? Well, I think if the U.S. goes into these matches and still has a sort of timid mentality or a fear that this squad isn't ready or that the game plan isn't going to work the way that it should, or maybe they have an unlucky first 30 minutes and they start to panic. Those are the kind of things that can derail this team. But if this team can just shut everything out, do what it's been doing for going on a year and a half now with Berhalter coaching after he got over some of his early the biggest weirdsies he had early on, he settled into a groove with this group where the group has really been performing well, and we've so far seen that play out in friendlies and in these tournaments over the summer, and it's time for the team to really hit its gear in qualifying.
For anyone who's concerned about the lack of Christian Pulisic and Gio Reyna, I'd like to point out that second half versus Honduras occurred without either of those players on the field. That was Correct. Post both of those injuries. So what we're looking at right now is this interesting sort of hybrid between the Nations League from the summer of shiny European stars and the Gold Cup from the summer of sort of scrappier, many MLS names. And I'm here for it. I think it's cool. I think we're seeing the double helix of our different sort of types of players coming together. And we have every opportunity to really make a name for ourselves in this window.
Yeah. I'm used to kind of being frustrated by the MLS guys dragging down the level of quality that we could access if we were a little bit more aggressive about calling in European-based players. I remain a little bit in that camp, like with Areola, with Kellen Acosta. I've got some kind of well covered complaints about his game. But I think each of these guys, going up to the ultimate case, Giassi Zardes, they have shown in a U.S. shirt in big spots in recent times that they are ready. And I think we are used to the level of the strong U.S. MLS player being lower than it is now. MLS has
Yeah,
been getting better, and I think these guys actually are a lot better than the equivalent players would have been in the prior generation.
that's
So
right.
I have a
Yeah.
lot less fear about a starting lineup that includes Kellen Acosta and Giassi Zardes than I would have 4 years ago with those players and with sort of the equivalent that existed in MLS at the time. Um, I think I have to give Greg credit for developing both streams of players and managing to kind of integrate them into a unit that I feel can play a similar, kind of cohesive style. I don't feel like the MLS based players are trying to enact one plan and the European based players are enacting another plan. And that has meant kind of excluding at times certain elements of each side in order to make it work. But I think where we're at, it does feel like the U.S. team has a really strong sense of its identity and what it wants to do on the ball, off the ball, with the press in its shape. And I think when the U.S. just sticks to that game plan, good things happen.
So Ty, I think if you're in the USMNT Twitter bubble and you're subscribed to Scuffed as everyone should be,
It's your
you're
boy.
familiar. It's your boy. You're familiar with Luca De La Torre. But if you're not, if you're new to the team, which many of our listeners are, you may not know that name. There's a few names on here you may not sort of be aware fully of the context. So tell us a little bit about Luca De La Torre and why it's exciting to see him on this roster.
Yeah, so Luca De La Torre is a player who had a lot of promise early on, and then he had a couple tough years. He was a Fulham Academy kid, came through the ranks there. He's starting to get minutes with the first team, and then I think he had a substantial injury, and then he came back, and he was kind of out of form, and he's found himself in the Dutch league. I don't know if he's fully sold or if he's still owned by someone in England, but anyway, he found a home at Heracles in the Dutch league, and he has been lighting it up. I mean, he's been one of the better players in the Eredivisie from that kind of attacking midfield position. So it's just another case where the U.S. is able to develop so many great 18-year-olds that even some of them that don't work out end up working out in some way. And I think you'll see Luca De La Torre finding himself into a bigger league soon based on the performances that he's had lately.
It's pretty exciting times. We've got Ricardo Pepi returning to us after his first cap, smashed onto the scene. Choo choo. Can he keep it going? Can he continue the hype train into the next stratosphere, into the Turnerverse, if you will? What do you think we're going to see? What do you think the chances are that we see Ricardo Pepi kind of make the prophecies come true this window?
I can never devote myself to that fantasy. I can't let myself go there mentally. If it happens, I'd be very, very happy. But what I would expect from this camp is that Ricardo Pepi would come in the 70th minute of games. Maybe he plays a total of, let's say, 80 minutes during the course of the 3 games. And I think he'll probably find a way to get one goal out of that. And that would be perfectly fine with me. I don't think we need the team to run around Ricardo Pepi right now. And I think the strike force that we have is fully capable of getting the job done even without him. So for me, it's about getting him that experience, getting him rhythm, and slowly, integrating him into the group. I'm very happy with the outcome of the last game, but I was concerned about the methodology of having the kid in for the first 2 qualifying games and not giving him a single minute, and then chucking him in as a starter in the highest pressure situation possible in Honduras after 2 mediocre results to start qualifying. So wasn't a big fan of that. I would like for him to be integrated in a little bit more gently, and I think this is a good time to do that with some easier games, some home games where the U.S. will be able to be on the front foot, and maybe he can come into a game where the U.S. already has the lead and develop that rhythm with his teammates that we're going to need in those crunch spots later in qualifying.
I want him thrown in. I want him 90 minutes from the jump.
You want him at goalkeeper.
I want him.
Yeah.
I want him in at goalkeeper. I want him dropped if he doesn't score 3 goals this window. I want all the pressure on Ricardo Pepi. I'm just kidding. What's the home away situation?
The kid's good at pressure. I mean, he's
good at pressure, man.
He's got a very uniquely strong character, especially with the dual national thing. I mean, just I don't know, that to me would be so much personal pressure that it would
he's
almost
ice freaking cold. He's cold.
He's ice cold, and I can't tell if it's like a tactic or he's just that dude. Like he's just so chill. Is he chill about everything? Like does he go on like a roller coaster like stone face?
Right. I think he's just that dude. I think he's just that dude.
Yeah.
He was like, he's been on. He did a circuit after the most recent window on all the pods. So check him out. I think it was with Grant Wall that he talked about, like Grant Wall asked him, like, you know, do you think about being potentially the first Mexican-American star? And he was like, no, I don't think about that. That's for the fans to think about, you know, and he's, very, very simple answer. And it just rang true to me. And the Scuff guys had someone who's like an expert in what's the Texas team?
Dallas, FC Dallas.
Dallas, FC Dallas. And he had, witnessed his trainings growing up and all this stuff and said he just is that type of dude. He just has like that iciness, the simplicity of focus that is required. So all accounts point to he's just actually that dude. It's not fake. He wasn't taught to be that guy. This is not an accident or a fluke of any kind. That he's that guy.
I love that. We've got a lot of intensity on the team. Pooley is very intense. Weston, Tyler. It's nice to have somebody who can take the temperature down a little bit when needed.
Yeah. Speaking of intense guys, Matthew Happiness is the truth has returned to us.
My word.
After months in the desert. Mallorca. What is his club situation? What has happened with Matthew Hoppy since we last checked in?
So I've seen he's gotten at least one sub appearance for Mallorca. I'm not aware if he's gotten any more game time, but he's clearly in the plans there. I think they paid a decent transfer fee, maybe like $4 million or $5 million for him. So they're definitely invested in his future. The ownership group at Mallorca, if we didn't explain this before, they have American roots. I can't remember if like the principal owner is American, but I know there's a substantial minority ownership group that includes like some ex-US players and stuff like that. So there's definitely a pro-US environment and culture there, and I think as we discussed when he transferred, I mean it's the perfect spot for him. Like to go to a culture that respects sauce like Spain is perfect.
It is perfect.
He will get to continue to play even if he has sauce and doesn't produce.
That's right.
What I mean? And that's exactly what Matthew Hoppy needs in order to actually like develop that future production that he's going to have. So I'm super happy to see him. I'd be happy to see him start. I'd be happy to see him come into a tied game and try to change things up or recover a game that's going badly. He is somebody who, when he hits the field, the entire dynamic of the game changes because every single defender has to be on their toes. Not only because he could beat them and maybe do something within the game, but because he could posterize them and make them look like idiots. So and because really he's the entire team has to get covered.
He's a bit of a madman as well. Like even if he doesn't do it to you on sort of in the run of play, he's going to do something that will he's on your mind. This guy's on your mind.
He plays soccer like the AI plays Go. It's kind of like, what? Nobody would think of that.
And he's in your ear. He's giving you're getting nudges and pushes from him at unexpected times. He brings an intensity to the field that we lack often, honestly. And so if he can just rise to somewhere close to his ceiling of, footballing ability, he will be an immense asset to this team for many years to come.
Totally.
Individual. Yeah.
I was just going to say, if you think back to that Trinidad game, last qualifying cycle with the team lethargic, slow, no ideas, throw a kid like that into that game, he would he would change things. I'm not saying
Yes.
he would save the day or anything, but a player like that you can use as a strategic weapon when the state of the game is not in your favor. You can put that player in, and the entire game has to change. You don't know which direction it's going to change, but it will change.
One more individual worth checking in on is the Eunice De Moussa. The
Oh
Eunice De
my
Moussa.
Lanta.
What's the so he was out? It's been a long time in the wilderness for Eunice Moussa, and he's
It
back with us
has.
now. This man is not yet cap-tied, so I had stopped mentioning his name for a while. I see him now on this roster. I'm willing to discuss again Eunice Moussa. What? By the way, during the time that he's been not on rosters, Italy, a team he is allowed to play for right now, won the Euros. So
Versus
uh,
England,
versus
another
England,
team
another
he is
team
allowed to
he's
play
allowed
for.
to play for.
Yeah. Still
So
allowed. Still totally
still
allowed.
allowed,
Yeah.
still totally down, so totally cool with FIFA for him to do that. So, but I see him here now, so he must have at least picked up the phone and said, "Yes, I will go with you on that adventure, US." We'll see if he plays, and I won't rest easy on the Yunus Musa storybook. I will not consider this a closed case until I see him take the field in a competitive match. The tie. What has Yunus Musa been up to since last we saw him?
So he has come back strong from the injury. He has gotten back into the starting lineup for Valencia at least once, if not twice, since then, with I think another sub appearance. So he has been, regaining his fitness and getting up to the rhythm of the season. And in case you forgot, I mean, when this kid came into the U.S. team last winter, he just jumped off the screen. I mean, he provides things that the rest of the U.S. pool cannot. The way that he moves with the ball, I mean, it reminds you of a Darlington Nagbe almost, but with a lot more decision making, quick decision making ability. He's
Forward
a lot
motion.
more decisive, a lot more forward motion, exactly. So, but the way, just like almost physically, just watching him move with the ball it's very, very unique. It's very different. The way that he
Yeah,
he maintains control and uses space and uses his body. He's not a big guy, but he's able to shield the ball and distribute in different directions. A lot like a Pedri or someone like that, where it's like,
he
man,
does
how
have
can
that
these
a
guys
little.
not get the ball off of him? So, oh, and in fact, by the way, a little stat is that last year in La Liga, he was the teenager with the second most minutes. Pedri was the only one who had
Behind
more. So
Pedri.
yeah, so this is we're talking about an A grade, top quality world soccer prospect at still 19 years old or 20 years old who picked the U.S. over a lot of big teams, and we've kind of forgotten about him because he was in the Nations League camp, didn't play, wasn't in the Gold Cup, wasn't in the first qualifying roster due to injury. So it's like, damn, we just like open the fridge and there's this tasty treat for the Nats.
Oh, Yunus Musa,
Eunice
welcome back.
Musa. And he's a lovely man.
Uh, and he's a lovely, lovely man. You mentioned Pedri, quick Barca corner. Ansu Fati is back with a bang. It's on and popping, baby. It's you know me. I can't help myself with the Barcelona story. I really hope it
Oh
works out over
my
there.
God, I do too. Can I
Um,
have one more individual shout out? Because somebody's
yeah, yeah,
been really killing it. So,
yeah.
Brendan Aronson. Brendan Aronson
AA
at the
Ron
last
Swan song.
World Cup qualifying window for the U.S. Among all the stars, all the big names who came in from all around the world, little Brendan Aronson from Medford, New Jersey, somewhere around there, playing in Salzburg. Not a good program, not a super high level, but somewhere that is a perfect place for him to thrive. He has been on fire in the league and recently in the Champions League midweek. He came into this game against Tim Weah and Lille. He started against Tim Weah. He was better than Tim Weah. He came in, he provided so much incisive movement, perfect passing, amazing creative ideas, and he just fits in so well with what that team is trying to do. And that system is not too different from what the U.S. is trying to do on offense. So Brendan Aronson is quietly becoming one of the most important pieces that the U.S. has to be successful. I fully expect him to be gobbled up by some huge team either in January or at the latest next summer. And I think again we're talking about a player who has the quality to be playing in that top six Premier League level. This is a
Absolutely.
serious
Kai, who
serious
are
kid.
some? Why don't you name some other players who did well at Salzburg once upon a time?
Oh well, you've got Erling Haaland.
Oh,
You've
oh
got
yeah, that guy.
who is oh my gosh, the
Minamoto.
Japanese guy. Yeah, Minamoto. Yes, exactly. And then there's the 10 who was at Salzburg, who's at Leipzig now, has the unpronounceable name. So there's
Oh,
this conveyor belt of
yeah, yeah,
talent
yeah.
that's going
What's it?
from Austria
Yeah,
up
yeah.
through the system, and it's working. It's working really well. Not working very
All
well
right.
for Jesse Marsh right now, but we'll leave that to one side.
Yeah, that is a sad story. Sad, sad story. Jesse Marsh, bad start at
Bishop
Leipzig.
boy. But they're gonna be patient with him because they invested like 5 years of training, and they're not gonna let him go because of a bad month. He'll find
Yeah,
his way.
yeah.
He'll find his way. They also sold. They had to sell Sabitzer
Yep,
and Upamecano, both of
yep.
whom were super super important. So it's inevitable that they would regress a little bit before they reload,
Yeah, yeah. And
before
Timo
Brendan
Werner
Aronson
back in the day
arrives.
as well.
And
So
Timo
it's
Werner,
been a
last
slow,
summer, yeah.
it's been a steady sort of cannibalization of that team.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
with Nagelsmann being the
The
most
most
crippling blow.
cannibalized
Oh God. Okay.
piece. The head was
Um,
cannibalized.
the head, the mind, the third eye was taken. Okay. USA Jamaica. What's the home away situation in these games?
I believe it's home away home, if I
So
recall.
home to Jamaica, away to Panama, home to Costa Rica.
Panama. Yeah, that sounds about right.
We're going to speak to the people next after the Jamaica game has occurred. So I guess true next is live stream during Jamaica game, and then we'll have a pod after that. So
Yes.
what should people look out for from Jamaica this time around?
So the big storyline around Jamaica this last year or two has been a very aggressive recruitment of dual nationals. They decided as an FA that they were going to actually go after some of the more high profile, particularly English Jamaican players. So players who are either born in Jamaica and moved to England at a young age, or players who are born in England of Jamaican heritage. And they had kind of traditionally not tried too hard to get these players. I think partially out of like the same reasons that the U.S. sometimes doesn't try with certain dual nationals. That it's just like, if you want to play for us, come play for us. But if you're not, we're not going to go get you. And they kind of changed their tones. They've been much more active and aggressive about recruiting these players. So there was this whole narrative that they were going to come up with this super team because they've got, Michael Antonio and other high level Premier League players. And it hasn't really come together. They got Leon Bailey in for a little bit. I don't think he's on this roster. And the aforementioned Michael Antonio, who is fantastic, because it didn't seem like it worked out. Somebody got into a fight. It didn't come together. So they don't really have like the super team that we thought that they would have, but they're definitely better than a cycle ago. They have a lot of experience in their team, especially from these English-based players. And they're always a tough opponent for the U.S. And what I often note about Jamaica is that you think of Jamaica, you think of the sprinters and their success on the track, and you expect it to be a speed-oriented team, but it's actually not typically the style that they tend to play. So they'll play a little bit more of what I would call like an English style. They play kind of physical. They play for some set pieces. They play for kind of moments within the game as opposed to trying to turn it into a counter-attacking track meet. So usually you can expect a lot of technical skill, some very organized defending and build up through the midfield, and then they'll try to sneak a set piece past you. And we saw in the recent friendly against the U.S., I think that was in March, that Jamaica, even with kind of a cobbled together squad, was able to put up a pretty stiff test against the U.S. In that friendly. And so I would expect nothing less from this home game. I don't think this is one where the U.S. is going to be able to blow them out. I think it's at most like a 2-goal win for the U.S. And it's a real test, but it's one that the U.S. definitely should win.
Well. Nacho Mama's Jamaica. I like the English style analysis there. That rings true to me of what I've seen of them. And it's pleasantly contrary to, I guess like sort of stereotypes, racist stereotypes. I always appreciate that
Yeah, either
when the
racist
truth
or
is
just lazy, because
the racist,
they
lazy,
have
whatever it
because
is.
Usain
Yeah,
Bolt is from there. Yeah.
yeah. Also, because this dude is also from there. So Ty, many people are far more Greg out than we. I
Oh
think
gosh.
you have been more critical of Greg than I have been. I have, for some reason, drank the Greg sauce.
You
I'm
submitted.
I
Stockholm syndrome.
submitted I submitted to this, which is this a pattern for me of abuse? I don't know, but I'm probably the farthest on the spectrum of, you know what, Greg's doing a pretty solid job, and there are reasons for what he's doing, and the results are good. Ty, you're somewhere in the middle. For those of our listeners who are like, "Am I taking crazy pills? This guy is a disaster." What do you think it would take for Greggy B to get fired after this window? How 3 losses, is that enough? Would it have to be a certain goal margin? How bad would it have to be
Yeah, I
to
think
change coaches?
it would have to be the combination of like it would have to be like three embarrassing losses.
Yeah,
Two of which at home to weaker teams. That I think would be enough to pull the trigger. Or if there was like, let's say, just like a boycott or something, like
yeah, player boycott.
the first team players walked out. I think
And what is just real quick? What's the justification for Greg out at the moment? What's the is it that
so
the U.S. had one good half in spite of this guy, basically?
exactly. So I think if you look at approval ratings for soccer coaches, you never really get past like 65%. Even who's like the best, like Nagelsmann maybe. There's still lots of
Zidane during
yeah,
that
well,
one
yeah,
run for
right.
Real Madrid?
Zidane
Yeah,
for Real Madrid. Like if they had a bad half, people were like, I don't know, maybe this wasn't going to work out. It's like
yeah.
you're never really get that much approval. So I think it's inevitable, and it's almost like not even worth like noting when that 30% of people vocally wants the coach out, because it's basically just for fun that they say that. And I'm a part of that sometimes. But when you look at it, within the more like realistic and rational zone, I think the justification for wanting him out would just be the chaos and the sort of lack of structure and process that he has brought to this team. You have like wild swings in lineups, and who's in and who's out, and what style of lineup it's going to be, in the formations, and it's leading. There's a lot of whiplash, and I personally have felt very frustrated by this, because I just think just keep it simple. Have a depth chart 4-3-3. Maybe implement a couple little things here and there, but don't try to take over the game. Let the players play the game.
yeah.
So that to me is my frustration. But I think at this point in qualifying, even I would think it's a bad idea to try to bring in and risk it with a new coach, as opposed to having a different coach in there.
Unless it was Tab Ramos.
Unless it was Tab Ramos, who could probably take the job and get start right away. Right, he's ready to go. He's born for this shit.
All right. Ty, what am I missing here about this window?
I mean, I'm pumped. I don't know, maybe I'll look back at this and laugh at my optimism. But I do believe the US is going to just dominate offensively. So much talent on the field. It's going to be sloppy at times. It's going to be a little bit disorganized at times. But I think this is the window where the US breaks out of the pack, sort of securely cements a trajectory of qualifying for Qatar. And I can't wait. I want to breathe easy at the end of this window. Can we do that, Nats? 9 points?
Come on, guys. Give us a little relief.
Come on, boys. We can do it.
I'm trying to take a vacation. All right, dudes. I'm all right with the fidget thing that the kids are doing these days. There's something
Soothing.
There's something pleasant, soothing about it, and pure about it. You know, you'd think kids would be all into
Simple.
phone apps or something, but what they're really obsessed with are objects that feel good to click and do nothing. So it's
That's right.
interesting. They're in the material world. I love myself a salted caramel ice cream cone. Know what I'm saying? There is no better flavor. There
Sam.
simply is no better flavor. And I especially like the fact that outlets on an airplane, standard at this point. Do you remember the first time you had an outlet on an airplane?
Yeah. Someone in my life paid like $2,000 for that outlet.
Mind-blowing experience. Now typical. That we live like princes in the Stone Age. Better our
We
lives.
live like aliens in the Stone Age.
We
We
live
live
like
like princes
aliens.
from 100 years ago, honestly.
It's awesome. We got plugs in every
Love it all.
airplane seat. But
Plugs anywhere.
I don't love any of that awesome stuff as much as I love the Nats. I
Let's
can't
go,
wait to see you
boys.
guys again and talk to you guys again after this window. Enjoy these 3 games. Enjoy these co-hosts and pods.
Have a good vacation.
Thanks, Doc.